All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Oscar De La Hoya says that Virgil Ortiz beats Errol Spence Jr. and the rest of the top welterweights right now. The only person that he has any reservation about is Terence Crawford, but he would be willing to make that fight next. Usually I would say, oh, that's just a bunch of, exaggeration from a promoter. But in this case, I don't think that it is. I think that he probably would do that. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. So, it's tight times out here in the world with, all of the work stoppages that are going on in boxing and in the rest of the world. And so people that put on that have businesses specifically in the sport of boxing are looking to, find ways to make more money, find ways to spend less money. And, that's just kind of how it is. So there's a lot of situations where young fighters are going to have to step up a little bit earlier than they might have, in better or more certain economic times. I think that's what we found when Daniel Dubois fought, God, man, what is his name? Slow Joyce. That's right. Slow Joe Joyce. Slow Joyce, or Joe Joyce as his mama likes to call him. Daniel Dubois lost to Joe Joyce, a young man, 22 years old, fighting a seasoned veteran, and he got exposed. However, I think that maybe the reason that they had to push that on and had to, put Daniel Dubois in that situation a little early might have had something to do with the financial situation that most business or many business people find themselves in. And that in this situation where Virgil Ortiz is concerned, his situation has got to be, the situation of his promoter has to be even a little bit more severe, wouldn't you say? And that is Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya, who lost the biggest money prize in all of boxing at the moment, of active fighters, that is, because, man, who knows how much Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. pulled in for that fight. But regardless, you get my point. His bank account just hit, or his revenue just hit, lost 70% of his revenue overnight. So hard economic times, you lose your guy, but you do still have DAZN. But DAZN is going to be saying, hey, we're going to need some value out of this money, Oscar. What kind of fights are you going to give us? So I do believe that Oscar De La Hoya is in a situation where he would make these fights. Now, as far as the fights themselves, look, there's two guys at Golden Boy that really stand out: Virgil Ortiz and Ryan Garcia. Virgil Ortiz, I think, is better than Ryan Garcia. I think that he's just the more, from what I can see, the more gritty fighter, the tougher fighter, the guy with the style that is really, I think, going to be able to do a lot of things at 147 pounds. And looking at his resume and the people that he's fought, he's had, it's 16-0 with at least with the records that I see on the guys that he fought. I like the Marisa Herrera fight. I like the fight. What's the guy's name? I like the Solomon fight. Solomon is actually, a guy that not a lot of people, necessarily know, but he was a solid fighter, right? And so I like Virgil Ortiz. I like the way that Golden Boy is bringing Virgil Ortiz around. And I think that he really does have, a bright future down the road. But is he ready for the top? Like Oscar De La Hoya says that he's ready and he can beat the top welterweights right now. It's kind of funny depending on who you think, whose definition of top welterweights are we talking about, right? Can't help but take a shot at Terence Crawford, man. Because, hey, man, they take shots at me. Anyway, it depends on the top five welterweights. If you think the top five welterweights are Errol Spence Jr., Manny Pacquiao, Terence Crawford, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, who else? Danny Garcia. If you think that, I think that Virgil Ortiz is probably ready for a few of them. I think I would like to, but I don't think that he's going to beat at this point. I don't think it's a safe bet against him beating any of those guys. So I'm not really sure what Oscar De La Hoya is talking about. But like I said, there's alternative realities in boxing. There's a reality of the we know who the best fighters are, but then there is hey, we work for ESPN, we work for Ring Magazine, and we have bosses that are trying to push a narrative. And bosses pushing a narrative will make you say certain things. Now, me pushing my own narrative, this is my own narrative. So it's just what it is. However, that's not always the case with some of these boxing writers. So or sometimes fighters like Terence Crawford saying that he believes a guy like David Benavidez, Amir Khan, who's been knocked out multiple times, Jeff Horn, who's been now knocked out multiple times. I'm going to kind of doing them bad on Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn is a legitimate win. But anyway, you get my point. Virgil Ortiz, no, he's not ready for that. And it's interesting that the way that Oscar De La Hoya framed it, he said that Virgil Ortiz could beat any of the guys over there at the PBC. But, who is the least likely promotional outfits right now to do business with one another? And even in the interview, Oscar De La Hoya said that he would make the Terence Crawford fight because he has a better relationship with Bob Arum. So, all in all, man, no. Virgil Ortiz, it's not time to do that. But Oscar De La Hoya may get forced into doing it because, when you have, what did they say it was? Well, maybe Oscar De La Hoya, if Oscar De La Hoya gets to keep the $5 million a year that he got on the top of Canelo Alvarez's deal, then maybe he does have another 4 or 5 fights. Well, actually what he said was another 3 or 4 fights for Virgil Ortiz. I'm sure he probably does have that in the budget. And Virgil Ortiz is somebody that I will watch on DAZN. Like, I have not gotten rid of my DAZN subscription yet, primarily because of guys like Virgil Ortiz, Ryan Garcia. But, the reason for most people to have DAZN, which was Canelo Alvarez, that's now gone, man. But now, and Virgil Ortiz could actually be in a good position at DAZN if it continues and it doesn't shut down. Because now you have Danny Garcia, who looked like absolutely like garbage this weekend against who did he look garbage against? Gabriel Rosado. Gabriel Rosado. He looked like garbage against Gabriel Rosado, man. Please forgive me in my last video for having said so many times, because obviously I must have said it a bunch of times, calling Jason Rosario Gabriel Rosario, Jason Rosario. I'm sorry, man. Sometimes, man, I just mess that stuff up. But regardless, look, I really do like the energy that Oscar De La Hoya has for Virgil Ortiz. I really like Virgil Ortiz as a fighter. And I do believe that he's going to be the next generation or the next top guys at 147, 154, and 160 pounds. He's not like a Jaime Munguia, a guy that is just like, man, get out of here. I never believe that. I do believe Virgil Ortiz is the real deal. But at the end of the day, man, if everything were right and everything worked, like it should, like I think it would naturally work out, Jaron Ennis will have something to say about who really is the best welterweight going on, down the line. But anyway, that's my take on the situation. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.